Here we are. Are you excited about this as much as I am? This is a whole new format for us, right? As you can see, I'm not in my regular space, and we are going to attempt to create history today. All right. We are making history today, and that's because in addition to, of course, talking about all the stuff that we like to talk about and explore, we're going to be doing some drawing. Now, I don't have a second camera set up, but I will show you that. I have some paper here. Nope, it's nothing fancy. I also have this Ziploc bag full of pencils, pens, but what separates the stuff that I do isn't like anything else that you've seen. You'll see people use probably paint and really fine marker, sometimes even Sharpies to do this kind of thing, right? Like that Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, like Sharpie headline, right? Stuff. Not this guy. This is what I use. It's from a company you may have heard of. It's called Crayola. And they have crayons, okay? And nobody does crayons anymore, but there's nothing more personal and intimate and disposable than using crayons to color. And that's where I'm at. That's my medium of choice, okay? Now, this is all part of the Planet Cool stuff. Bad sketch backer category. Today I'm going to try to get 2 of them done because I've actually got to sharpen up my drawing skills because I've actually got to do some serious drawing for my illustrator friend because I'm hoping to woo her into providing illustrations for a book that I've written. You could call it a kid's book, but I don't think it's really a kid's book. It'd probably be the category, but I've had this book idea for a while and it's written and I just need to put some pictures in there. So I thought I would get the worst of the worst drawing out for all my lovely backers who were promised a bad sketch. Okay, so that's what I do. I'm not an illustrator. I'm not an artist. I am just a guy who is going to draw some stuff. Not bad on purpose, but just the way it is. There's crap all over my camera here. I'm sorry. Okay, so I know there's 2 characters that I've been asked to do. The first is Matt Tracker with Thunderhawk. Like, okay, no big deal. Like, I've got to do a car and a person. Frankly, at this point, Thunderhawk is just going to look like a seagull. Did you ever learn how to draw seagulls? Where basically, here, I'll draw it right here, where it was basically just like an M. That's what Thunderhawk's going to look like. I'm going to actually finish this up. I'm going to just put little tires on it. We'll call this Thunderhawk. Do you think that's fair to call that Thunderhawk for this drawing? Kava! There he is. I don't even know if this eraser works. It's not a good start to the sketch. Ooh, you know what I hate? When you have erasers that are so hard that they actually don't work. So that means right away that I can't make any mistakes today. Because look what happens when I use this eraser. It just smears and smudges. I don't think there's any erasers anywhere. You know, I have 2 kids that are in school, and you'd think that there'd be erasers in the house, but there's not. But 3 pencils, okay? I have 3 pencils, and none of them have an adequate eraser. So this is just going to be part of the drawing. We don't go back. We only go forwards with this drawing. So first things I'm going to try to do is Thunderhawk and Matt Tracker. And then I've been asked to do Destro as well. Destro's from G.I. Joe, Matt Tracker's from Mask. So if you've got Mask thoughts and memories, let me know. Good morning to you. It's a bit earlier from when we normally do this. My kids are in school. It's almost the holiday break for them. Hopefully it's the holiday break for you as well. Happy holidays to you. Cheers. Let's see. Okay. I'm actually going to go over here and look up Matt Tracker because if I don't look him up, I'm probably going to draw the wrong person or the wrong attitude. So I'm just doing a quick Google search for Matt Tracker. There's a wearable thing. Okay, so I'm gonna screen share this so you guys can see. All right, so this is what I'm looking at. How awesome is this costume? What do I got to do to get that? That's going to be my inspiration. Okay, that's my inspiration for this. So this is going to be a wicked sketch. And if you have questions when it comes to mask, just fire it out there. I don't know best way to do this, like that. Maybe this. I don't know. Yeah, we'll do that. That seems to be a bit right. Okay. What's your history with Mask? I don't remember watching it when it was on TV, but I do remember renting VHS tapes. Um, I don't remember it airing in Canada specifically at all. It was kind of elusive. I remember the toys coming out and it being really this cool blend of G.I. Joe and Transformers, like everyone has said for eons now, but never had any toys. Never got to watch the cartoon growing up. And it was one of those shows that I feel like I really missed out on. I was really sad that I didn't get to see it. So when the internet came of age, I was able to kind of go back and really discover the show for the first time and get into everything that Mask was. And I discovered, oh, I really wish I had an eraser. I discovered that an eraser is great for when you're trying to do um, some sketches. So let's see here. This is pretty awful. I'm just trying to look at the details here and get it right down. So I'm just gonna do kind of like the 80s retro sunglasses thing where there's just a couple of dashed lines for like reflection across rather than shade the whole thing in there. Again, my inspiration is this guy right here. Two big round things that look like big kind of like a cinnamon bun, and then this Darth Vader breathing apparatus. Is that even? Wait, I should better check if that's accurate. Yeah, it's like this boxy thing. MattTracker.com. We know those folks. Good people. All right, so I've been making some mistakes already. I've added perspective here when there's no perspective needed, but we can't go back now because I don't have an eraser. That would be too simple to do. Oh God, I really wish I had an eraser. You are getting your money's worth when it comes to a bad sketch of this, though. So that is the good news. Oh, okay, so here, this thing here. It really is boxy, isn't it? It's like a solid square. For some reason, I made it more like a trapezoid on my drawing here. There's going to be lots of correcting lines. Maybe it'll get started when I use my secret weapon, the box of Crayola. So, yeah, let me know what your thoughts on Mask are. I'd love to hear. I guess it would help if I went to the comments and see if you guys are around. Um, here we go. Oh, Tater's here. He's saying do a Meldo drawing, and Cindy's here. Here for the Rob art. Well, it's only one of a kind Rob art. So there you be. There you go. So you guys want to preview where we're at so far? So again, here I'll flick my inspiration over to this. That's where we're at so far. Does that look good? I got to work on the bottom a bit. It's a little too boxy. It needs to be rounded. I don't think it looks like it. Again, I'm not trying to make this bad. It's just how I draw, man. My skills haven't matured since grade 7, which is odd because drawing is something. that I wish I was much better at. And you'd think, given that desire, I would have spent more time like expanding that skill set. So this is where it gets really rough for me because I'm just like doing like loose shapes. I always do this thing where it's like the head is like the main focus, and then like the rest just kind of like loses any sense of detail whatsoever. You'll see in a second. I'll give you an outlandish update momentarily. So bad. My Thunderhawk off in the distance is still the best. He's got one stripe like this, and he's got doing the armbands on him right now, and then he's kind of got like the V on the front of his uniform. Just kind of shadowy. Here's the other armband. Okay, so we know those are going to be red. I feel like I'm losing some detail here. All right, you want to see where I am now after I put the body in? There. It kind of looks a little bit more like the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, the matte tracker. I call that a 2-for-1. That's a 2-for-1 deal. Again, it feels like it's melting to the side. And look at this, it's like more. It's like, yeah, it's like just melting everything. So the perspectives are all way off. But hey, you know what? This is one of a kind. There is only one. We'll see. We'll see. Again, I should probably just do quick like shape stuff instead of trying to go think. My downfall is I always try to do the details first, stuff and fine details on the head, and it kind of gets all I don't know Picasso on me, and then the broader stuff kind of comes together and holds the shapes, but it doesn't really super work out. And Matt Tracker doesn't have this, but this is going to be a little kind of out of touch. Like, how do I make this my version, right? How is this like my thing? Well, the one thing I love about all action figures, if they have them, are capes. So I'm going to give Matt Tracker a cape. In fact, I'm going to give him a Batman cape. I just think everybody looks cool in pose with a cape. So I've added a Batman cape to him. Nobody else is going to draw Matt Tracker like that. That, I promise you. All right. That's pretty good so far. What are the details I'm missing here? Presumably, there's a little bit of a zipper straight down there. Now, gray and red are the most exactly interesting colors to draw with, or to color with. But thankfully, I have 96 crayons, maybe like 89, thanks to some coloring sessions. And I think we'll be able to find a good red. Let's see. Do you guys have a good choice of red? This is like my favorite part of like Bob Ross, right? Where he would like burnt sienna, that kind of thing. Right now, I'm thinking violet red. So if you have a violet red crayon, this is your time to use it. So obviously the two cinnamon rings underneath Matt Tracker there, this mask spectrum, I believe, is are red as well as all the other accents. So how did you guys color growing up? Did you just try to stay in the lines? Because right now I'm just trying to stay in the lines. You know, I don't think this is quite bright enough. This is kind of a little bit dull, so the violet part doesn't work. I like it as an outline. In fact, I'm going to do all the outlines with this, just so that there's a consistency. Yeah, and that's my other big secret. I do outlines, and then sometimes I'll use a different color on the inside. I mean, he's almost got like a safety bright orangey red. Maybe I'll make his gloves a little bit different. I mean, it's almost like this kind of orange mixed with a red. So I got to see what I can find here. If you guys have suggestions, fire them out. Let's see. This is Mango Tango. When you ever remember growing up with Mango Tango? That doesn't seem violet red. Violet red is the color. Oh, here's Razzmatazz. Doesn't seem bright enough. Is this a sparkling one? Oh no, my daughter has just put sparkles on it. Maybe I'll incorporate that. Oh my God, so this is hilarious. I literally just said my daughter used it. Guess what color this is? Scarlet. How perfect is that? That means I have to use it. Okay, so. Now, I didn't say I'd be coloring these for the backers. So I'm hoping that feels like added value. It may, in fact, take away from the value of the sketch. But, you know, I aim to disappoint when and where I can. And I like to use different pressure. I don't just do one kind of solid push when it comes to my crayon coloring skills. I like to try to accentuate folds and depth. Of course, when you see it, it won't look like that's the case, but I aim for that. Now, the question you're all asking yourselves right now, that Batman cape that I added for Matte Tracker that doesn't exist, what color is it going to be? What color is the cape going to be, folks? Is it going to be blue? Is it going to be black? It's just a Batman cape, right? Or are we going to go off page? This is a pretty great gray to use. It's actually silver. So if you have this in your box of Crayola, this might be a great one to use. Funny thing about gray crayon, it looks exactly like pencil. So I could really just be shading with a pencil at this point, but it's the effort that counts. And since I have it, I'm going to use it. Oh, I forgot part of his mask. I'll go back to my scarlet and finish the little boxy part of his mask. I always think it helps too to color along the lines, not just going up and down, but like if there's a line to color in there and to kind of just echo it out so that if there's a curve, that the coloring strokes should match it. Now you're also all wondering at this very moment, will the coloring help or hinder what I'm trying to do here? Will it actually improve after some color? Are you missing some details that until this point are only in my head? Will it actually come together? Does Rob have a better drawing secretly hidden? No, yellow. Yellow is a good idea. Perhaps yellow. I can actually highlight these comments. Yellow. That might be a good one. So I'm going to give you a sneak peek of what it looks like right now. All right. Is it coming together? Is it looking better than this sketch? What's your favorite technique that I've used so far? Flatter me. I don't think it's that good, guys. Back to my gray. Did you see the part that I used with the gray? Can you tell? Of course you can. Keep it to yourself for now. See if everybody else catches on. Because this silver crayon reads just like pencil. So why are you using it, Rob? It's for the effort. Because I know. I will know. But I also have a trick I have a trick up my sleeve for that. I also find sometimes when you color a certain direction with certain patterns and depending on the lines that you can, it also helps shift the perspective that the character is looking at. It's really hard to tell the perspective right now because it's fairly wonky. But if you want somebody to look left, keep drawing in that way so that the brush strokes constantly move that way. Brush strokes with crayon, you heard me. Can you guys guess what my secret weapon is when it comes to like doing stuff like making shades that look like pencils stand out? You figure that out? Learn this from Batman. I say learned, but that's not really true. Because if I learned it, I'd be better than I am. Oh, mahogany. Do you have mahogany in your box of crayons? If you do, I suggest that you use it. I'm using it on my little cape buckles. What would you call those? I wanted to say epaulets. But those kind of go on the shoulders. What are those cape buckles? You had a cape that comes on and buckles here. What are those two pieces? Like, is it a harness? That doesn't feel right. So I'm using mahogany on those two details. And right now, I'm just going along the gray jumpsuit and just kind of using my silver to really make it accentuate so that you're not convinced that there's pencil strokes there. But again, that's going to be hard because there are pencil strokes there. Sometimes, even though I have a drawing underneath, Cindy's agreeing with me. She's being awful kind this morning. Directional shading is a cool trick for creating movement. Yeah, you're right. I concur. Sometimes, even though I don't have it in my outline, I'll add a little extra lines or details with my crayon because that's how I like to do it. I might go the distance here and blend two colors. So I might do, because those gloves are really bright, I might use like a yellow orange and then go over it with red. I'm getting real fancy here. So I'll show you guys what it looks like with just the orange, which we know is not the right color. He's almost got like a crimson cherry red. For whatever reason, I don't have a cherry crayon in my box. It's, again, we started out with 96. I think we have about 89. You know, one of the casualties is probably a cherry red. Also MIA, I think it's pink, but I'm not sure yet. Hang on. So far, these gauntlets are pretty safety orange, not accurate. We know this. So if I go back and I find my violent, all right, here's my razzmatazz. I'll just put razzmatazz over top of it. I think this will really help add a bit of contrast and texture. Oh yeah, that's the stuff. That's the stuff right there. Not that this segment's ever going to take off, but I really should have a second camera so you can watch along with the progress. Although I'm sure everybody's just watching along for these casual updates that I'm doing right now. And yes, folks, can you believe that this is actually my job at the moment, that I'm required to do this based on a promise I made on Kickstarter? You too can run a Kickstarter and color with crayons to appease your backers. I can't believe people bought this perk. It's fun. I guess it's a novel idea. So there you go. So I went over it with that. And the orange now reads as highlights and sheen. Careful, folks. It almost sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I am a director. I make movies. All right, a secret trick, especially when you have black or gray. Oh, there's Willie Nelson. My dog's in the other room. Usually I'm upstairs in my office. Today I'm down here. This is our studio. Here's the trick. Ready? Somebody must be walking their dog. Blue. Blue is a great highlight for accent color. Batman did this very well because there's so much black, you would see like blue shine for highlights. Because we're dealing with someone that's gray, there's not a lot of contrast. I'm going to add some blue to it. And I think with the red, just a little bit of blue shading, it's going to really help make it pop. I don't really know the best spots to do this with, so I'm just going to pretend that I do and kind of have it on one side as if the light is hitting a certain way. Kind of like, you know, when you learn how to do bubble letters for the first time, make a three-dimensional letter. You kind of want to just follow that same rule. Always extenuate one side, not all the sides, just one side of everything. I'm not getting an overhead camera. The segment isn't popular enough. You guys are waiting on the edge of your seat to see the update. You ready for it? All right, I'll give you a small update. This is what a little bit of blue can do. See that magic there? Oh, looks like a comfy guy in a snowsuit. You ready to stop venom in winter? Coming along. See? Imagine the progress the next time you see it. If you constantly saw a camera over here, you saw the stream, you just click off. But these views are going to change my life. The amount of views that you guys give me on this stuff. No, that's not the case at all. Nobody seems to have mask memories. Just fine. I guess I'm the only one. Did a mask segment recently for Planet Cool Stuff, which is our new series. Again, I mentioned that backers were able to select this perk where I draw something really poorly for them. Again, not on purpose. And Mr. James Etalk did a very nice summary of Mask of what made it work and why it was so great. He aptly pointed out that Mask was really great at international geography because so many adventures took place around the world. I am now doing some outlining with a black crayon. And be honest, this is something you would all love to hang up in your room, right? It's okay. You too could have selected this perk, but you didn't. And that's okay. I love you anyways. I'm just kind of going over the details on the mask here with the black crayon. You know, my big fear with this perk is advertising it as a really bad sketch. People would be like, that's not that bad. I don't think I have to worry about that too much. I just worry that people are expecting something like atrocious, and it's not atrocious enough for them. But again, I don't think that's going to be a problem. So I never got to watch Mask in the run as a show when it came out. And it's one of the few lines or shows or IP, whatever you want to call it, that people often debate, was the toy better or was the show better? And that's a great spot to be in. Because if they're both that good and worthy of dialogue, then it's better than saying, "Oh, wow, the show was awful. Those toys were great." Which I think is probably the case with real Ghostbusters, you know? Um, toys were silly at best, but the show was really fantastic. So because the silver showed up as pencil lines, I'm just gonna go through and quickly do some highlights with this black crayon. Oh my god, how tired am I this morning? Let me know when you guys require to see an update, and I'll happily show you one. I find that a good black crayon can hide a lot of your mistakes too. If you overshade anything, you can hide enough mistakes. Cindy, it is not that good. I've just convinced you with my calm demeanor this morning that it might be good. I think you just feel bad for me. Usually, good artists reward those less talented with praise to encourage them to be better so they don't have to fill the world with such shit art. Cindy's a great artist if you don't know her work. She was also featured in Planet Cool Stuff. She did an amazing segment on Universal monster movies. It's a good retrospective from the early stuff all the way through the reboots that we're currently experiencing now. And one of the parts I really liked about that segment in particular was just talking about like the toy reboots and how we were able to focus down on Ninja Turtles, for example. Good example of a new IP or a familiar kind of evergreen IP being able to kind of leverage an IP that like Universal Monsters that was kind of fell in and out of favor. Always had a loyal following, but you know, hasn't always been Rise of the Crocodiles. Certainly lots of fans out there, which is why it's been able to go from the diehards to Alvin and the Chipmunks and so on and so forth. Right now, I'm trying to add some folds and some shading to this cape. And thing, Happy Mistakes by Rob Boss. Look at this blue. How is that? You said yellow for a cape, but I'm thinking maybe blue. And this is a gel effects crayon. We never had anything this cool when I was a kid. Look at this. How awesome this crayon is. Again, the stuff that you get to work with nowadays. So I think maybe I'll do this blue with some yellow highlights. Blue and red, right? Isn't that like opposites right on the color wheel? So they always look good together. Go yellow. It's more of just a not a complementary color, but it's within the same palette. Contrasting color is always nice. Like think of lightsabers, blue and red. Here's another gel effects. Oh, you can't see it. Gel effects, yellow. Really, really sharp stuff. So I'm gonna go over that. Parts of it will look green because it's mixing with the blue, but I think it's also just gonna make it like pop a little bit too. Crayon is not an easy medium to work with. Paint you can slosh around and paint over. This you cannot. You can push it, but once it's kind of on the page, it's there. All right, you guys ready for an update? Here's an update. Let's see, there we go. The cape is a little, it almost looks like Boulder Hill. You know what? In fact, I'm going to transform my drawing right now and make it Boulder Hill. Boulder Hill is the headquarters of Mask. No, it's distinctly blue and yellow right now, so I'm going to have to change that. First, allow me to extend it. Did you guys ever sit around coloring your favorite characters? Coloring wasn't something I've done in a while until I had kids in my life. It's actually very relaxing and super calming, therapeutic, right? Because you just get to concentrate, and it's low yield. It doesn't matter if you mess it up. It really doesn't. So watch how quickly I can transform this into a mountain instead of a Batman cape. The things that happen on live streams, folks. Woo! That's right. You can hear the crayon at work. Hardest part is I'm on my dining room table and there's a bit of a texture on the table. So there are some grooves and permutations that come through here. It certainly does not look like a cape anymore. Definitely full mountain range. I used to draw all the characters from Little Mermaid because the toys didn't exist yet. Oh, those are some really beautiful drawn characters too. If you haven't seen the documentary Waking Sleeping Beauty, I suggest you do this because you get to see a lot of behind the scenes on that movie in particular. Which are really nice to see. I love seeing how stuff starts out and evolves and process, which is kind of why I thought I'd share some time with you guys here and do this. The mountain range is coming along. Takes a little bit. Mountain ranges are my go-to. I used to live in Las Vegas. Now I live in Canada. Canada has a lot of mountain ranges, just not the part where I live. So it gets a little bit harder to do that. Do you ever kind of like do little outlines around stuff so you didn't have to color the whole thing in, but you gave the impression that it was full? I'll show you what I mean in a second. I always used to do this so I didn't have to color in the sky on things. Oh, it's hard. Yeah, you heard me say it right, guys. My job of coloring with crayons is hard. I'm now coloring on top of another sheet so that I can go over the edge. Top-notch coloring skills. Again, everything I've learned up until the 7th grade. Not that I remember coloring too much in school, to be honest. I remember having to buy pencil crayons every year. And within 3 or 4 weeks of starting school, they'd all be broken. And when I had that project in November or December, I didn't know where any of my Laurentian colored pencils were. And it would drive my folks nuts. Where are they? We bought these for you at the beginning, and I used them, or I lost them, or they broke. Reality was they probably got shoved into the back of my desk. And as they got shoved, they got broken, forgotten, rolled out, and lost. So, do you ever do this kind of thing? Where like you just kind of shade up on the edges and stuff? So, it's not actually showing up that well, but I assure you, you can probably stop the screen share now at this point. Yeah, it's just along the edges. Here's a good example right there. So you don't actually have to color it all in. Now, the only question is what to do about good old Thunderhawk in the distance there. You think this is enough of a bad sketch? Or should I do a little bit extra work on that? All right, I'm going to give them just kind of a silhouette of Thunderhawk. Get out your friend, the black crayon. Why Thunderhawk is out there and he's not in it is beside the point, right? Not everyone's going to get such an amazingly detailed drawing, but this is the first. So kind of learning what I'm capable of and not, finding my limits, you know, let's go from there. I think there's some streaks. There we go. And some kind of jets in the background too. You ever make sound effects like I just did while drawing? There it is. Matte Tracker. Oh, I gotta color it down here. Matte Tracker or a backer of Planet Cool Stuff. I'm trying to do these in the order that they were suggested and called out. If you're a backer and you want to see one of your sketches come to life like this, there you go. Just for you. I'm not sure what this claw thing is here. I think it was supposed to be a fold. It looks like a little claw there. So one lucky backer is going to get this. But to make it extra special, again, this is one of my signature things that only I know how to do. It's going to have some folds in it, just to really make it feel unique. Now we know that this can't be copied. If there was a doubt before, we know that's not the case now. So there you have it. Every drawing will get a unique look. Oh, it smells nice. It smells like waxy. I love that waxy smell. It smells like nostalgia. It's going to you, my friend. There you go. Thanks for watching, guys. I got more to do, but I did not expect this to take 45 minutes for one drawing. I'm in over my head already. Cheers.